Welcome to the Building Brands podcast. This is where you get the real playbook from founders and builders so you can stop dreaming about your vision and make it a reality.
Welcome to the Building Brands podcast. I am your host, Brittany Ogletree. I'm here with Jeremiah Lee, a financial strategist.
Hi, Brittany.
Hi, good to see you. For people meeting you for the first time, how would you describe what you do as a financial advisor, CPA, and founder of your own strategic firm?
What I do is I help businesses grow. I help take them from where they are now, whether that's stagnant, whether that's just unsure of how they want to move forward, but the desire is growth, and help them get to the goals that they ultimately have. So it's very personalized. It's very helping them walk kind of along this path that they want to pave themselves, but being that kind of guide and that advisor to get them from where they are now to where they want to be.
What stage are these businesses typically coming to you at?
Yeah, most of them are small businesses. They can be mature or they can be very young. Either way, I work with a man now who has a business that he inherited from his father, that his father started over 40 years ago. So that's a very mature business, but it's still small, kind of a local mom and pop business. But then there's other businesses that are maybe experience large amounts of growth in a very short amount of time, like we're hoping for you, right?
Yeah.
But they need help and they desire that help. So they can come along and I can help either of those.
You have a very interesting background, as I'm sure you know, with your MBA, CPA, and a Master of Divinity. How have these shaped how you approach finance and leadership?
I've lived an interesting life. I feel like there's even perhaps more to live after this, but we'll see. I don't know. The approach that I have for finance is very mingled. It's very focused on kind of this holistic view, ethics, experience, as well as expertise. Kind of those are the 3 E's that I like to say, how I approach finance. The MDiv gives me a nice theology background, I guess strengthens the ethical foundation that I have. The CPA really allows me to get into the weeds of the accounting and understand numbers from that kind of intimate manner. And then the MBA has allowed me to look at a much higher level and really take those bits of education, overlay them with the experience that I had in previous roles, and kind of get to where I am now today.
If someone's launching a business for the first time, what financial documents do they actually need to set up?
The first document, I think, is kind of a vision map. And that might be a strange thing to say. It's not a legal document that you have to file, but obviously wanting to put together some sort of plan so you know this is what I'm going to do with my business. These are the parameters I'm going to operate in, and these are the goals that I have long term, so that you kind of have these boundaries to operate within. So when you get questions of like, well, what kind of type of corporation do you want to file as a partnership or a C corp, an S corp, or an LLC, or anything else of like, what states do I want to operate in? What do I need to file for from a tax standpoint or get insurance wise? You kind of have this boundary where people aren't just selling to you, being like, and giving you bad advice of, you need to go here, you need to go there, you need to get this extra thing. It's, all right, I know what I'm going to do. This is the business that I'm going to operate in. This is ultimately the goal that I want to have in growing it. I guess the short answer is just kind of an outline of what you want your business to look like. And then moving forward from there, you need to file with the corporate commission and the state, and then get an EIN from the IRS and get a bank account and so on and so forth.
Yeah, the non-fun stuff.
Yeah.
Are there any tools or resources you recommend for founders who want to understand their finances better, but don't know where to begin?
I think the best part is the best action to take is getting some AI. I think that's a fantastic tool to use. It might be weird to some people, especially if you have it start talking to you, then that's a little crazy, right? But that's such a great intro to understanding how your business is operating and what your numbers are actually looking like and mean from something that has a tool that has a decent amount of expertise to it that can be kind of overlaid onto what you have. So I definitely say use some AI, throw in some, make sure you're paying so that your financials don't just get out there in whatever AI you're using and they're training on them, but pay for a good one and put them in there, see what it says, let it guide you. And then another tool I would say is, watch some YouTube and really just dive into some financial topics that you might not be familiar with, whether there's plenty of kind of TEDx style talks or for myself being a CPA, I have continuing professional education requirements. So there's so many of those meetings or seminars that have been recorded and have been put on YouTube. Just go dive in, figure out where you want to start, and there's so much material available.
Do you have favorite AI tools and favorite content creators on YouTube do you recommend?
That's a really good one. No, I don't have any favorite content creator on YouTube for business. I think it just depends on what you need out of business. Like, oh man, maybe his name will come back to me. But it's a very Italian name. But he has such good. Lencioni, that Patrick Lencioni, he does such good work on business, and it's not necessarily financial based, but he is very, I guess, focused on how to make teams work. And I think that's those two things, finance and then the people side of things, those two things, if you can do those well with your business, you're going to do very well. From an AI standpoint, I love Gemini when it comes to like deep research and stuff like that. I think it does a really good job. It's already, if you're running off of the Google ecosystem, you can move files in and documents in very easily. It's just, that's a good tool to use.
So how can someone talk about money confidently when they aren't confident about it?
Oh man, that's such a good question, because there's so many different thoughts and topics of money. And I think you just have to understand what you're talking about. Go through, you're going to make some mistakes when it comes to money. Everybody does. I mean, we all make stupid purchases, and you're like, man, should I really have bought that many cheeseburgers that late at night, kind of a deal? I don't know. But that's, you learn from those things, and then you can speak to them. And I think once you gain that knowledge, then you'll become more comfortable. But the second part of that, I'd say, is you have to talk about it. If you're not going to talk about it and you're just getting in knowledge and whatnot, and you're never sharing it, then you might have all the knowledge in the world, but you're never going to sound very confident. So you got to talk about it too, open about it.
Showing people what you've learned.
Yep.
So you helped me with my business and helping build my pro forma financials. Can you explain what that is to people that don't know and what it's used for?
Yeah. So pro forma financials are very important in the seeding phase for businesses when they're going out like you did and trying to get investments, and whether it's venture capitalists or going through an SBA, more traditional route like that, or anything like that. And it's really taking some assumptions and building financial statements that are somewhat comprehensive out of those assumptions. So growth factors, pricing for products, costs that is going to be associated with those products, as well as just the administration of the business, and starting to build in assumptions as to what that's going to look like 6 months down the road, a couple years down the road, and just going from there.
What advice do you give a founder attempting to forecast revenue when they don't have any revenue yet?
Oh man, that's I say just go for it, kind of a deal. Don't get your head too high up in the clouds and think that you're going to become like the next Zuckerberg or Musk or something like that. Be like, I'm going to be a billionaire in the next 4 years. Maybe, but probably not. But you just got to look at what's realistic, start putting things on paper, and then talking them out. Because once you really start to challenge the assumptions that you're putting down and what you believe, then you'll be more critical about this is actually realistic, or, oh, this isn't actually realistic, whether good or bad. Maybe you're going, oh, wow, I think this is going to be the number that I'm going to hit. And then you look at it and you go, actually, I underestimated. Maybe we're able to do 2 or 3 times as much. Yeah. So it's really just putting that critical lens over what you're doing and seeing if it's going to actually work out.
So what financial information should a founder have ready before speaking to investors?
So those pro forma financials are good. If you're an established business, then having clean books is going to be very helpful. Whether that's for raising funds or selling to PE or something like that, then having clean books is always helpful and very clear as to what buckets things fall in. It seems like the obvious answer of like have the numbers you're presenting be complete, but you'd be surprised how many times those are incomplete. So I'd say have that, and then also be able to speak intelligently to what's happened and then where things are headed. I think those two things are very intelligent, as well as a budget with that. So you have the past, or if they're pro forma and you're looking in the future, but also have some sort of budget as to what that's going to granularly look like and where your money is actually going to be spent.
How does somebody know that they're ready to work with someone like you?
If they want to grow, I think that's
Yeah.
a good answer.
Is there more specifics like surpassing a certain revenue point,
Yeah.
or is it more of I don't know what to do with my money right now and I'm in crisis?
I think a lot of business owners don't have a lot of education or knowledge of the financial side of the aisle, and that's okay. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You can be the best plumber in the world, and you can build a beautiful business, and you have a few employees and stuff like that, and do a really good job. But there's a somewhat high likelihood that you don't necessarily know what the numbers necessarily mean. You just know that more money's going in than is going out, hopefully. It's good to bring someone in like myself who's able to help kind of work through the muck and mire of that all, clear things up, provide some education as well as expertise to get you going in the right direction. But for myself, I'll work with anyone, but primarily my target is businesses that are around $500,000 to $1 million in revenue, up to 5 million. But certainly beyond those bounds are good too.
Do you have a framework for helping founders make smart financial decisions when they're under pressure?
Absolutely, yeah. So the framework that I like to use, I call it holistic finance, and it encompasses not only the numbers side of things with accounting and those things that are presented, but also the operations and the long-term planning, the strategic planning that you do. So when it comes to making a decision about where to put money, if you should expand to another territory or expand another product, provide another service, really aligning those three things is very helpful to make that decision. Do we have the money, number one, the funds available to do such? Does it lead to a positive return? Second, do we have the operational capacity, or can we expand to that in a relatively meaningful timeline? And then three, does it match what our actual goals for the organization are long term? And if all of those things are yes, or if there's some no's, then you work through that and figure out how to move forward. But I think that's a pretty good framework.
So you're a faithful man.
Yes.
How does faith influence the way you lead and work?
Faith, I operate from faith in everything that I do, or I try to, right? So I do that through, I guess, a few different things. One is that I believe that a strong principle of faith is that you are looking forward to something that hasn't been realized yet, but is certain. So I guess operating in the realm of business, that would translate to faithfully working through what you have now, stewardship, knowing that there's going to be further success down the line if you do things well, I guess. Not to be like, if you do everything right, then you're going to always be successful kind of deal. There's always outside issues that come into play. But when you are faithful from a stewardship standpoint, when you're taking care of your business, the funds that you have, and especially the people that are under your care, then I do believe that that sets you up for the best level of success. So I always try to advocate for that whenever I'm having conversations with business owners, and of course for myself. And I guess the second piece of that would be, I try to be a little picky, perhaps, with who I work with. I don't mind working with anyone as long as those people don't undermine my values. I think that's an important line in the sand to set, and not necessarily to sell out my soul or anything like that. But I want to, especially in my community, impact my community for good. And doing that means partnering with people who similarly have those values.
When you think about your work through a legacy standpoint, what do you hope to have?
Oh man, legacy. That's such an interesting question to ask at such a early phase, right? And to try to comprehend what that's going to look like, because we both know, whatever we say, however many years it is down the road now, is going to be far different than it actually is. But I hope from where I sit now, just to provide, I don't know, a good impact in the community that I'm serving, specifically businesses and nonprofits, helping them and the people that they serve to do better, so that my community in Arizona can thrive and I don't know, just experience growth that way.
I love that. I mean, respect is very important. I think that's essential. For the founder who feels overwhelmed by their finances, what's one action you recommend they take today?
One action I recommend founders take who feel overwhelmed by their finances is to get help. Ask someone for help. That doesn't mean you necessarily have to call me up and be like, hey, Jeremiah, give me your package, kind of a deal. Well, what does it cost? Let's do this right now. I think the best thing to do, whether you're paying for it or not, is to have accountability. So if you're overwhelmed by your finances, you don't understand, then reach out to someone and say, I don't understand. I need help. Someone who's walked the path before, whether that's someone who's in the realm of finance or another business owner you can trust, and kind of have that mentor relationship so that you can start learning. And then that'll create the accountability of, all right, now we're moving forward. I'm starting to get this. I want to succeed. And then you can be held accountable to if you are or if you're not. But I think accountability is such a big aspect of business.
Well, this has been an amazing conversation. I'm so happy to have you here. Yeah. Where can people find you and connect with you?
They can find me, I guess, on the internet. That's exciting. We're at my house, but I'll refrain from giving out my address. But if you can go to my website or search me on it, like LinkedIn or Instagram or anything like that. But my website is liehe.org. So it's spelled a little funny, but there, easy. Or just search me, Jeremiah Lee, on Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
If you love this episode, come hang with me on TikTok and Instagram at Britt.Ogletree as I share everything I'm learning as I build great beauty from the ground up.